Hi guys, okay, we're looking now at setting the regulator on a Hw100. We've already looked at how to work on a hammer and also how to actually get it set up to fit a regulator. Since you last saw me, all I've really done is to screw this back in and then screw the adapter into the base here using some PTFE to seal it. Now, you are going to get problems for the simple reason that's a hell of a pressure right there. So don't be surprised if you need a good bit of PTFE. You also bear in mind that's a tiny nipple you're screwing in there, so be careful. If you snap that off in there, you're going to have problems. Right, okay, so I'm showing a pressure now of not much. The regulator is adjusted, let's go back to my old-fashioned way, I'm afraid, in there on that white Allen key, and it's adjusted by screwing it. The tighter it is, the more pressure there is. So I'm going to put my little Allen key in there, and you can then, as I do that up, you can see the pressure rise. So you want 85 to 95 bar. I would recommend that 2.2 carbines should be around 85 to 90, and bear in mind more is not always, more pressure doesn't always equal better. And then the 177 sort of carbine up at 95. Be aware, if you look down here at your actual possible pressures, at the point where you start being anything above 90, you're losing your shot count, quite early on, because if you've got it set to 85, you've still got consistent shooting even when you've hit the yellow. Whereas if you've got it set at 95, you haven't got consistent shooting just before you hit the yellow, so just be aware. So I'm going to take this up to about, it's not very much either in terms of screwing it up to get this pressure. I'm going to take this up to about, let me see, well that's 90, that's 85-ish I reckon, around there, and I'm going to just nick it a little bit more, like that. Give me, yeah, there we are. I'm going to slacken off slightly. I'm just giving myself sort of 87 if I can. Now loosening off won't do anything for you. It won't actually drop it back because that pressure is held and locked. What I'm going to do to check my pressures, and then put my valve block back on. So I'm just going to put it back on loosely, and I'm going to dry fire, yeah I know, I'm going to dry fire this with no pellet in it just to then re-empty that air to see what the pressure has set itself to. Apologies for not much being in shot at the moment. So what I've done is put the valve block back on. I'm going to cock it, and I'm going to just fire that, and we'll see. By the way, you can see here they don't recover very quickly at all in terms of they don't recover very quickly at all in terms of, by the way, you've got to do both nuts down or it won't work. In terms of pressure, the pressure in the cylinder itself takes quite a while to come back up, which for those of us that shoot quite quickly will come as quite a surprise. I'll just nick this down and you'll see what I mean. Right, so look, there we go. Do that, close that, and then look, I'll just... what am I doing wrong? Hang on. Wait a second. There we are. Sorry, just confused myself there. Right, so 95, pull the trigger. Takes quite a while to come back up, doesn't it? And look at that, you see how it's come back up to 82 and a bit. The only problem is you can't adjust it now because obviously the valve, the action is in the way. What I'll tend to do is to just a couple of times to see where we're up to. And then always make sure, of course, that your pressure down here is actually capable of giving you what you're looking to set it to. So if you haven't got 90 bar there, you're not going to get 90 bar up here. So there we are. It takes a while to come back up. It's quite a good regulator for sure. So look, that there is 90, that one. So that's 85, and I'm just going to take it that little crack more because it's just under the 85, and I know I say less is not more, but you know what I mean. More is not more, within limits. So there we are, that's how to adjust it. I would recommend firing it a few times to clear the, you know, to try and make sure that the regulator is settled in. They don't really call this dry firing for the simple reason it has got the hammer is hitting. The hammer in here is hitting against pressure. Don't do it with with no air in the cylinder, because then otherwise the hammer is hitting hard against the valve with no pressure against it. There we are. Now there's not much more to say on these really. We've looked at setting the hammer. Obviously the usual things. If you let this go over 12 foot-pounds, you're looking at a prison sentence. So let's not be doing that. But you can get some good shot efficiencies by making sure that your regulator pressure is where it should be. Other things, you can get new washers for the regulator to get different pressures. Some people have fiddled with those. I wouldn't really advise it. And when you do take this little ball out, I would recommend getting rid of this mangled little washer, because otherwise bits of that are going to get stuck all over the place in there, and that will tighten down and seal the hole. Other thing to mention, if you take this, if you unscrew that out of the body while the air cylinder is still in place, don't be surprised if it flies out at you, because obviously you've got a full pressure behind it, so don't be doing that. Take the air cylinder off before you unscrew this. Leaks here, likely to happen. Be quite liberal with your PTFE, but don't screw this down too hard, because you can break the nipple off, and it is only aluminium. You can break that too. Anything else to mention? No, not really. It's a tricky business to do, and if you don't have to, I would recommend you don't. There we are, guys. I hope that helps.